Okay, we're looking at your homework called Proofs 2, and I'm going to do number 6 and number 8. These blanks are very short, so you're probably going to have to write the tiniest you've ever written in your life. But I just want to go through the process of reasoning if you're having trouble with this homework. So let's look at number 6. First, how you start a proof is you just start with a given. You've got to start somewhere, so let's start with something that we were handed. So we're going to start with HF is perpendicular to GE. And we're going to stop. We're going to write given because that's our reason, given. And now we're going to see if we can conclude anything from that. Because if we can conclude something, we want to write that very next so that we're going in a logical order. Now, I know that if two lines are perpendicular, then I'm going to add right angle markings to my picture. I know that I normally go to my picture and I add that. Well, when you add markings to your picture, you have to document it. You have to write it down. So what am I really saying when I add markings to my picture? I'm saying that angle 1 and angle 2 are right angles. So I hope you can read that. It says angle 1 and angle 2 are right angles. That's what happens when two lines are perpendicular, you get right angles. And so that is the definition of perpendicular lines. Cool. So now I know that those two angles are right angles. Well, to prove triangles congruent, just making them right angles is not enough. I get to go one step further. We all know in this class that if angle 1 and angle 2 are both 90 degrees, then they're congruent. So the next thing I would do here is put angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. And my reason would be all right angles are congruent. So you actually have to say that. You can't just assume that the person knows that just because they're both right angles they're congruent. You have to document it. You have to say it. Now I'm as far as I can go on that one. I can't go any further. They're congruent, so I'm done with that. Let's go to the next given. The next given is HF bisects GE. Well, when I know a segment has been bisected, I go to my picture and I add tick marks. Well, if I'm going to add a marking to my picture, I have to document it. So I got too excited. Let me write given. There's given. Now I'm going to document the fact that I added tick marks. I know this is hard to read. GF is congruent to FE. All I'm doing is I'm documenting what I added tick marks to. GF is congruent to FE. What's the reason? Well, it's definition of segment bisector. Make sure you put the seg in there so I know it's not an angle bisector or something else. Okay, we're doing good. We are almost ready to prove these triangles guilty of being congruent. Now, what else would you normally do to this triangle? You would normally add tick marks to the shared side. Well, when you're doing that, you're using the reflexive property. So you need to actually say it. HF is congruent to HF. And why? Reflexive prop. P-R-O-P. There we go. Close enough. So when you're adding symbols to your picture, all we're saying is that you need to document it. We're ready. We're ready to prove our proof. We're ready for the step. So we just copy it down. GFH is congruent to EFH. And what's the reason? The reason is side, angle, side. It's not hypotenuse leg because there's no tick marks on the hypotenuse, so be careful. Okay, number 8. Are we ready? Number 8. Given AB is parallel to CD. So we write it down and we put given. Now I know something happens if AB is parallel to CD. And I'm going to cheat a little bit and I'm going to number this because it's going to start to get really scary if I don't. I don't remember how I numbered it when I did the key, but we're just going to go with this. 1, 2, 3, 4. My key might be different, but it doesn't matter. If AB is parallel to CD, then angle 3 is congruent to angle 2. Why are they congruent? If parallel, then alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay, I'm going to pick up a new color so we don't get confused. Next given is BC is parallel to AD. That is given. Well, that's this segment and this segment. That's the other Z. So now angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. Same reason. If parallel, then alternate interior angles are congruent. Cool. So I've got arc, arc. I've got double arc, double arc. And now I just need to use my reflexive property. AC is congruent to AC. Reflexive. Because remember, every time you add tick marks, you have to document it. Now I'm ready to prove my triangle's guilty of being congruent. Triangle, and you get to name them in any order you want. I'll do A, B, C. Now that I've named it in that order, I have to be careful. A, B, C. So that's 2 arcs, no arcs, 1 arc. So I need to do 2 arcs, no arc, 1 arc. C, D, A. Why are they congruent? Well, angle, side, angle. And your last step is always the prove. That's always your last step. Angle B is congruent to angle D. And what's my reason? Our favorite thing, CPCTC. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent.